Let's take a quick lap around the shop and look at the tools and equipment that the motorcycle mechanic just might need. And we'll start with a toolbox. This is an old toolbox. I bought it new in 1976. It was the biggest toolbox that Snap-on had at the time, and it was quite the deal back then. So let's take a quick tour through it. We've got drivers, we've got scrapers, we got owls punches, we've got other devices, just small screwdrivers, specialty bits. Oop, let's go up to the top. Sockets. Metric, all sorts of metric sockets, all Snap-on, all sorts of ratchets. More and more and more. And these are just collected over the years. Okay, let's back it out and let's go down to the plier drawer. And when you need pliers, you need pliers. So let's just have a nice selection of everything that you could need. And we'll go down. Oh, here we go. Wrenches. It's always nice to have wrenches. A good set of long Snap-on metrics. And over in this corner we have some Macs that you couldn't pry out of my cold dead fingers. They have been with me for years and years and years, and they're wonderful. They're a 6-point swivel on the back, and that 6-point swivel is really good for taking loose drain plugs and oil filter plugs and things like that. And we have some more specialty wrenches, spanners, big long ratcheting wrenches, English Whitworth and Imperial sizes. And we go into the air tool drawer, and these are the big air tools, air hammers, impacts, things like that. So you just can be able to do the work that you need to do. And we'll go down here, and we have adjustable wrenches, files, and lots of vice grips for doing different stuff. And here, punches, more punches, hacksaws, high tension hacksaws, even a pipe wrench. And these are tire irons, big long screwdrivers for doing whatever. We have clutch holding tools, chain breakers, things like that. And in here we have like compression gauges, and there's some helicoil stuff in there, just oil filter wrenches, miscellaneous stuff, screw extractors, things like that. And we have the torque wrench drawer with all the different types of torque wrenches you need. These are burnishing hones. The blades don't wobble. They're held in place. Like this has a wobbly blade on it, and this one, the blades are held in place, and they're turned in with a micrometer type deal. And we have hammers. When you need a hammer, you got to have a hammer, and you got to have the right one. So, and then there's all sorts of pullers in here, different motorcycle flywheel pullers, different things like that. And the bottom drawer is just basically miscellaneous stuff, just stuff in it. Just big tools, dent pullers, paintless dent repair stuff. And so, as we move along, we have our compressor, and then we have this guy, And he is a glass bead cabinet that when I put it together, I sealed every edge up, and now it is a vapor honing cabinet. So it does super fine media wet blasting, and it works extremely well. And then welding equipment, so we can do MIG, TIG. There's a plasma cutter, which is new, I haven't tried yet. We have gas welding equipment over here, masks, and sprayers, paint sprayers above that. And we move over to the bench, and hex drivers, you know, a little screwdriver holder to hold the different types of screwdrivers that you need. Got these vessel screwdrivers, a couple of these. These are really good, really good, because they're impact drivers. So you can put it in there and you can hit it and it will turn it to the counterclockwise. And in here we have just drawers of more tools that you need, you know, when you're working on the bench instead of running back and forth to the toolbox. And they're all, you know, there's some older snap-on wrenches in here. But it's always good to have the right tools close by, and just more tools and meters, gauges, temperature gauges, things like that. And then bits for doing, you know, screwdriver bits, impact bits. And we have cutters and pliers and whatnot in there. And then there's other parts down inside. Then, of course, you always have a good vise. And I've got some new soft jaws. These are awesome. They are just really nice. And the magnets hold in extremely well. And it's got 2 sets of jaws, and so you can put screws and whatnot in there. Awesome set. Then when you need nuts and bolts, you come in here, and all the nuts and bolts that I collect, and I don't throw anything away. So I've got all sorts of little pieces of things to build things out of, and it was a good way to deal with this type of cabinet. And then if you need electrical stuff, all the electrical stuff is sitting in here. These are just parts, you know, pieces of chain, sprockets, axles, things like that. And there's more of the same, just grips, levers, just stuff you need to make things out of. And in the bottom we have just nothing more than grinders and whatnot. And then up here we have more parts. Then we have airbrush stuff. So we have 2 different types of Posh airbrushes. And then this one over here is an electric setup. So it's got its own compressor, and it seems to be a really nice one. I've used it a couple times and it's great. We'll be doing videos on that. And this is just nothing more than welding wire, zip ties, different, you know, solder paste solders and things like that. And again, more power tools, grinders, all sorts of things that you need, sanders, whatever you need. And then as we look around, there's a nice big vise over here for holding things. We have our ultrasonic cleaner, and there's just more parts over there. As we go through, it's a little messy in that corner. So we'll come back around over here, and we have a nice cabinet full of, not in the best organization, but there is, when you need paint, you need it, and all the pieces, all the chemicals that you need are all sitting in here. Oils, you know, Bondo, the things that you need. Close that up. And it's always good to have a press with a couple big bearing splitters. And it's just a Harbor Freight deal, 20-ton, but it works well. Then we come over here and we have this guy. I've got, I took a IV holder and put some gauges on it for synchronization gauges. And of course I have my gas bottle that hangs on there, so you don't have to hang it on the motorcycle. You can just wheel this thing over. It's on wheels. And I also do have a digital synchronizer, but this is a little easier to see. You don't you can just kind of plug them on and just kind of run around the motorcycle, and they're a little bit easier to see. This guy here is a really good grinding belt sander. It is high speed. It's not for wood. It's made for metal, and it is one of the most useful tools you can get. Then we have a bandsaw over here, and it is nothing more than a Harbor Freight wood bandsaw. But what I do is I put a bimetal blade in it, and with the bimetal blade, the higher speed of the wood saw, you can go through all different types of metals. I mean, this thing blows through 1/4-inch plate like it's nothing. Then we come over here, and we have another box that is just nothing more than just your basic Home Depot box. But I keep a couple sets of drill bits over here. These are the regular titanium ones. These are all cobalt drills when you need the good ones. A set of hex drivers for doing different stuff. Measuring devices in here when you need them. Hex drivers handy. Then in here we have drill bits, different pieces that you need, any kind of drill bits, a couple of cheap torque wrenches, just in case you need to drop them on the ground, I guess. And then there's some lathe pieces in here, live centers and things like that. Then in here is a very useful drawer. This has got taps and dies all laid out, so you can just do what you need to do. There's more. These are thread repairing tools in here. I won't open it up. Then in here is a bunch of air tools for grinding, polishing, all the different things that you need to do with that. And then underneath there's a whole bunch of electrical type tools. Then we'll go over to the lathe, and this is one of the most useful tools that you can have in your shop. I use it constantly whenever you need to make something. It's just always good to have a lathe. And having also, if you're going to have a lathe, make sure you get it so that it's got the quick change stuff on it. And yeah, a super useful tool. And then the grinder pedestal. It's a little much. Two are okay, one on top of the other, so there's a buffer here. And then this is like a Scotch-Brite wheel, which is really handy to have. This next one up has got my wire brush on it, and then a cutoff blade in here, so you can just do kind of fine grinding. I stacked up a new grinder up here, but it's a little too tall, and it's really not that useful. It needs to be on its own stand. So that's going to get fixed. Then, of course, just your regular drill press. It just is Harbor Freight. The only thing I've done here is I've kind of put it's a mill stand, so I can accurately move things in and out and around, and it really works well on a drill press. You just kind of put your piece in there, and then you can do finite adjustments on it. Then one of the handiest tools that you can have is a wringer. Now, young people don't know what one of these are, but it is a really handy tool for ring. If you've got rags and things like that, you can rinse them out in the sink, wring them out. Or if you're just washing something, let's say you're wiping off your bike with a wet rag, you can take it, rinse it, and when it goes through the wringer, it just pulls all the dirt out. So that's always a good thing to have. There's down here is a solvent tank, which is sitting on top of it is a sewing machine that can do leather. It's a heavy duty Singer. I've am going to learn how to upholster seats and whatnot. It's I've done one and I was fairly successful, but I'm going to learn how to do it, and I'll take you guys along for the ride. And there's just chemicals and stuff that go along with that, and just little plastic buckets. And then over here, well, live in snowblower land, so there's a snowblower kind of buried under there. This is our next project. It is a KZ400 that is in really horrible shape, and it is going to be turned into kind of a utilitarian street tracker, cafe racer, who knows what. And behind it is my little Yamaha 100YL1E. It is just a gorgeous little bike. It's just kind of buried at the moment. And back in the corner is a Penton flat tracker. And I've got my Kawasaki Concourse for long trips and inclement weather. And of course, we have the H2. And the H2 is ready to be test ridden. We've done a video on doing the supercharger chain and timing chain, so it's ready to go. And of course, we have a collection of helmets. I have quite a few. You know, when you just different helmets for different occasions. And of course, we have all sorts of leather jackets, different ones for different occasions. Whenever you need something, this is what you get. Just go to the rack and get your good stuff. And that is your basic tour of the shop. There are cabinets up above with just, you know, chemicals and whatnot in it. And there's a lot of different stuff going on up there. There's a whole lot of different boxes with different pieces in it, you know, screwdrivers, bearing splitters, you know, pulley installers, plastic welding stuff. There's all sorts of stuff going on in there. But anyway, it's full of that. And then more chemicals and different things. So that's a basic tour of the shop. And up here, we have a rail system with a hoist on it. So this hoist can travel along this rail. All you need to be able to maybe hoist up an engine, hoist a motorcycle, and move it all the way out to where you can work on it. It is really works well. It's the hoist is on a trolley, and that trolley, and then it's an electric hoist, obviously. And you can, and it's like it kind of locks into place up there, but it really works well. Harbor Freight, and then there's a trolley that I bought off of Amazon, and the rails I got at Home Depot, and they are designed just for this. And then I welded them together. You can see it very well, but welded up two of them, and now it can hold a lot of weight. It is lag bolted into the joists. And we have the street tracker, and I don't have anything really to do to it. I was going to do some videos on it, but there's really nothing it needs. So we'll go from there. Maybe I'll put a new clutch in it. It's been a while.